that was coming through Friday there. Talking to my wife on Saturday.
It was nasty here.
Well, I'll be good to go here in a moment. Well, good morning. We'll call this meeting together. We've got, son of a gun, we've got a nice day today. I happen to be out of town, but ran into some of the same weather that was here, so it's a pleasure to have this weather today. This our April 17, 2018 meeting of the Hutchinson City Council. Linda, would you call roll, please?
Dave Line?
Here.
Kyrus de Carvalho?
Here.
Soldner?
Here.
Inskeep?
Here.
Deckett?
Here.
Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Chief Beer, thank you this morning for offering prayer for us.
You're welcome. Let's bow our heads. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the many and abundant blessings that you give us. Thank you for life itself, for the measures of health, friendships that we have. Thank you for the ability to be involved in useful work and the honor of bearing your appropriate responsibilities. Thanks for the freedom to embrace you. I pray that the agenda set before the City Council members today, please give them assurance of what would please you and what would benefit those who live and work in around the beloved city of Hutchinson. In your name we pray, amen.
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 Thank you. Next item.
Item 4, Arbor Day Proclamation.
Yes. Justin, I think you're joining me. All right. Whereas in 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for the planting of trees, and whereas this holiday, called Arbor Day, was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska, and Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world, and whereas trees can reduce the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, cut heating and cooling costs, moderate the temperature, clean the air, produce oxygen, and provide habitat for wildlife. And whereas trees are a renewable resource giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products. And whereas trees in our city increase property value, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, and beautify our community. And whereas trees, wherever they are planted, are a source of joy and spiritual renewal. And now, therefore, I, Stephen A. Deckent, Mayor of the City of Hutchinson, do hereby proclaim April 27, 2018 as Arbor Day in the City of Hutchinson, and urge all citizens to celebrate Arbor Day and to support efforts to protect our trees and woodlands. And further, I urge all citizens to plant trees to gladden the heart and promote the well-being of this and future generations. That's Justin. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Justin Combs, Director of Parks and Facilities. This year for Arbor Day, we'll be planting trees at Orchard Park again. This will be a partnership between City Beverage, who sponsored this event for at least the last 3 or 4 years. And we'll have some students from Plum Creek. 4th grade will come out and help plant. The tree board is also helping to pay for the trees. So it'll be a collaborative effort on the 27th at 9 a.m. at Orchard Park. Everyone's welcome to come out and help or observe. It's always a fun time getting a bunch of 4th graders out digging holes, playing in the dirt and mud. So, but again, it'll be Friday the 27th at 9 o'clock at Orchard. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next item.
Item 5, Oral Communications from the Audience.
Okay, this is the time of our meeting where there's an opportunity for members of the audience to address the council. Would ask that you keep your comments to less than 5 minutes and address issues that are not on the agenda already. Andy, good morning.
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 Andy Anderson, 54 Cary Street. At the meeting when we talked about the changing the council times, there was also mention of town halls, so the citizens could come and talk to y'all. Do we have any kind of agenda on that or schedule?
Not at this time. I know I talked with Jana a little bit. I think we'll probably finish the two that we have scheduled now, and then I think it would be a matter of probably, well, I don't know. It could be a matter of individual council members in their districts.
Okay.
And we've not discussed it as a council, though.
Okay. That was one of the questions. Also, with the attorney being in Wichita past month or so, they had the big parties. I mean, it was a celebration. I think Wichita really took a hold of that and made something of it. Is there any, or how would we go about making that happen for the JUCO tournament? As in a party downtown, maybe some shuttle buses to get those people. I'm sure the people who have been here 2 or 3 years have seen the Cosmosphere, they've seen the salt mines, but let's get them downtown, maybe some sort of, that the bars could actually extend out onto the sidewalks, a special use permit for that weekend or something, and just turn it into some sort of party and celebration. I think there's a lot of money and revenue to be made there.
I don't know. I would imagine if there were a group of citizens, much like the Hutch Fest kind of began years ago when it was going, organizing and.
Yeah, even if we use the fairgrounds and put events in, in the fairgrounds somehow. Who would be the first contact for that? Who would I start with?
I would suggest you work with the Convention and Visitors Bureau.
That's a good idea.
Because they really work to promote that week and do a lot of marketing around it. And I think they'd be interested in anything they can do in conjunction with that to drive more people into shops and restaurants, et cetera. So they're housed in the Chamber of Commerce, and I think Holly Liker would be the contact. I can email you her contact information if you'd like.
If you would, please.
Sure.
Be interesting if you could involve like, and I'm talking out of turn here, but even like the RCAT or whatever to shuttle folks.
Yes, sir.
And I don't know how that would work or logistically if it's even feasible, but it's an interesting thought. I know there are 2 different sizes of events. Obviously, that one was a national draw of a much larger scale. This is a national draw, but it's on a little smaller scale.
It's on a smaller scale, and I think the attitude, well, they're Wichita. Well, you know what? We're Hutch.
There it is. Yeah. No, I like the attitude. Let's do it. We are Hutch.
The Legion might have some interest. They've certainly got their hands full with the entire tournament, but they might have some interest in being involved as well.
Well, and obviously, if it's downtown, Jim Sightnader would have ideas.
Yep.
Oh, you're not
Our
wrong.
downtown development director.
I just want to kind of put the idea out there, get some wheels turning.
There's no bad ideas, man.
All right. Thank you all.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. Jeff Nichols, Public Works Maintenance and Flood Control Superintendent for the city. Just here at your place, you should have received one of these flyers. Just a reminder to everyone that in 2 weekends, the citywide cleanup will be taking place. On the back of your flyer is the 15 locations where our partner Stutzman's Refuse will have the dumpsters laid out there. And once again, for the 3rd year, we'll be partnering with Tech Inc. for eCycle.
Awesome.
And also with Hutchinson Correctional Facility, we'll have 2 locations for mattress drop-offs and such. So this is about the 14th year, I believe, that the spring cleanup has taken place. And we typically average about 142 tons of trash that is picked up. That's about 2,000 cubic yards. So it does give an opportunity to clean up some backyards and side yards and alleys as well from that standpoint. So just a reminder of that. Just if you're meeting with any constituents, you might remind them of that type of thing that's coming up in 2 weekends. So we do have 5 city employees directly involved with that as well that go around helping folks get stuff, because those are like 7-foot tall sides. We have a couple of loaders that we can put stuff into and help them out with that standpoint. So Is there any questions any of you might have, or any other information I might
I missed Jeff. How many cubic yards you said?
We approximately 2,000 cubic
2,000
yards
cubic
is what
yards.
the average is,
Wow.
and we average about 142 tons each year when we do that, so quite a bit.
This is a great thing that we do every year. That's great. Citywide cleanup, and obviously it's utilized
Yes,
significantly by the citizens. So
you bet. So,
Great.
thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Jeff.
Morning,
Good morning,
Jenna.
Jana McCarron, Director of Planning and Development. I just want to remind you, we had a town hall meeting on April 10th, and then we have our second one scheduled for April 24th, which should be next Tuesday, at 6:30 p.m. at Lincoln School. And anyone's invited, but we're specifically focusing on people in the Southwest, residents of the Southwest Council District, to talk to them about the proposed infill zoning regulations. These would be for residential. So anyway, just want to put that out there and welcome people to come.
Good. Thank you, Jenna. Anyone else? Next item, please.
Item 6, consent agenda.
Do we either have something to be pulled out or a motion to approve?
I would move to approve the consent agenda and authorize the mayor to sign.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Call roll, please.
Dave Line,
Yes.
Tyros de Carvalho,
Yes.
Soldner,
Yes.
Inskeep,
Yes.
Decken.
Yes.
Item 7A, consider request to amend the comprehensive plan land use map for 329 North Van Buren.
Good morning again, Jana McCarron, Director of Planning and Development. And this is a request to redesignate a piece of property that's located at 329 North Van Buren from industrial to commercial. The property owner is Mi Tierra Restaurant and Cantina, and Jerry Grajeda, I'm sorry. I never took Spanish. Anyway, Jerry is here he's the property owner. He'll be representing the project. The property is located at the southwest corner of 4th Avenue, West 4th Avenue in Van Buren. And it's historically been used as a tavern. This would be a change in use, and because this change in use requires a special use permit, and also the property's been not been used for more than a year. Well, it's just it's a change in use. And so the applicant it was zoned industrial, so we had to rezone the property, and also he'll need to get a special use permit. And I might mention that's why we're working on our use table to try and fix it, because it seems like that's quite a lot to have someone to have to go through. But here you can see it's designated industrial in our comprehensive plan land use map, but it's never been used as industrial for industrial purposes. And it's also zoned I2. Again, never been used for industrial purposes. There's a couple of photographs of the property. Here's the building. And then looking north towards 4th Avenue. And then looking towards the south there. And then across the street is the VFW hall. So a similar kind of use across the street. So there's two items before you today. The first is the comprehensive plan land use amendment, and the second will be the rezone. So I'm happy to answer any questions you might have, and like I said, Jerry's here to answer questions as well.
With the changing of the zoning map from industrial to commercial, it still requires a special use permit?
Yes.
My only question, Jana, was with the repurpose of this building, whether our current codes will require that the gentleman would have to pave the front of the building?
Let's go back and look at it here. Yes. Presently, our codes require that if you get a special use permit, conditional use permit, or if it's a change in use that requires higher, I think any change in use, I'm a little fuzzy on it, but if it's a conditional use permit or special use permit, yes, it triggers it. So it triggers the paving requirement, and I believe on the change in use, it's if it's a higher standard. So this is the same parking standard. A tavern and a banquet hall have the same parking standard, but because it requires a special use permit, they will have to pave. This is like Rob's Garage that was on East 4th.
Yeah.
And so the special use permit would be considered tonight by the Board of Zoning Appeals. And what staff is recommending is that because we're working through potential changes to our requirements, that he be allowed, that Mr. Grajeda be allowed to defer that paving requirement for up to a year and potentially even 1 year extension. And then if the requirement changes, he could just send us a simple letter asking to fall under the new regulations. So that's what we're proposing.
Okay.
That is good common sense direction. Thank you for considering that. Yep.
Yeah.
He has sufficient landscaping on the property.
Yep.
So it's just mostly the paving that would be the issue here. Any other questions for me?
Could you go back to the map that defined the, I think it had public and industrial and is that?
Is this the
Institutional.
zoning map or the comprehensive, this one?
I think the comprehensive.
Yes.
Okay. Does it make sense, and I'm trying to familiarize myself with what else is in that industrial zone there, to just change that small square in the corner, or do we look at a broader square? I don't know. You tell me.
Well, there are some industrial uses along there.
Okay.
And so I don't believe that the banquet hall is a permitted use in the public and institutional. It's something, again, we need to fix because we have parks that we just need to do some work on our use table, which we've known about and we are working on. So this was the best fit that we could find, which would allow him to do the use he wants to do. And actually, it's going to give him some more options for uses. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm misspeaking here. The public and institutional, why didn't we want him to rezone it to that, or to redesignate it? Because it's not really a public and institutional property.
No.
Yes,
Yeah.
the rezone is to PI, so forgive me for that. It's to
Ian.
Ian? So PI
Ian.
doesn't allow it.
Ian, established neighborhood.
So there's a rezone and a comprehensive plan, land use amendment, and I was correct the first time. You can't do a banquet hall and a PI.
Okay.
We need to fix that because we're going to be renting out.
Exactly, at the
Right,
park.
Orchard
Yeah.
Park.
Orchard Park.
Yeah.
So we're aware.
Okay.
Well, we
We're
already
trying
read
to
out
fit,
other,
things into this box
sure.
that we have that doesn't really,
Yeah.
it's not suiting our needs as well as we'd like it to.
Well, Mr. Grajeda, we're excited that you're investing again in Hutchinson and love your restaurant. Happy to see another one. Happy to see something go there. Did you want to say a few words about it, or you don't have to?
would you come forward, please? Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Okay, my name is Jerry Grajeda, and me and my wife, we came from Chicago, and we opened up in South Hutchinson. We moved to 4th Street. We opened up on 4th Street. We closed the one in South Hutchinson because we thought possibilities were higher in Hutchinson, Kansas, in Hutchinson. Apparently right now we also launched Royals Bar and Banquet, so this is the second location that is fully operational right now. I did have on 329 North Van Buren, I did purchase it with the thought of, opening up a bar, because it was a bar before. I had a friend that decided that he wanted to open up a bar by himself. Well, he didn't do what he had to do, and he got his license taken away. I currently have 2 liquor licenses in Hutchinson. One is Royals and one is Mitira. So for me to open up another liquor establishment would not make no sense. I did call the ABC, and ABC told me that I could use that as a rider for a banquet facility. One of my establishments already established if I did want to, serve adult beverages there, which that caught my attention because basically I've seen the need of facilities. I have a lot of people that come to Mitira Mexican restaurant, and sometimes they want to host a party, and my establishment is not that big. So I do lose a lot of opportunities in that aspect because I don't have nowhere to cater a party or host a party. And also the problem that I've been having is that they have to, if they want to use the fairgrounds or they want to use the parks facilities, there is
No
an
longer.
overwhelming time period to just get a facility. They said that it's very limited. The property, as you see across the street, is the VFW. To me, the VFW is considered a banquet facility. They do rent it out. They do have parties. So for me to be across the street and do the same thing, I don't think it's a big difference. Next to me, I have across the way, there's a thing, ductwork place or air heating and air, which that's way down the block. So, I mean, for me, it's like I don't have anything around me besides a electrical plant, well, power grid. Basically, I did do millings. I have done remodeling to the place because the place was not that great. Already put air conditioners, painted inside, remodeled inside, painted outside. So, I mean, for me, put sidewalk all around the building. So I have put quite a bit of money into it. My concerns is, I know with the repaving, you know what I mean, if the value of my property is going to be adequate for what I could sell it for in the future. You know, across the street, I mean, I do want to do as much as improvements as I can to the location because the better it looks, the more profitable it'll be. I mean, I've always thought of that. I mean, I remodeled Meteora, that was empty for 3 years before I took it over. The Vic's bar, Royals bar, was dilapidated too. It was terrible. You know, I also remodeled that. If you have seen articles written about Royals, it's been on the newspaper and you can see the massive improvements I've done to both locations. But being a business owner and conscience-wise, I have to make a judgment decision of what, you know what I mean, what kind of investment can I put into it and what can I get out of it. So to me, I think that we're talking about millings with oil, a mixture, not actually black asphalt. I don't know if that's going to be approved in a city council meeting. They were talking about accepting that. You know, that would be a good option for me to get started. You know, and maybe in the future, once I start making some income, you know, do pave, you know what I mean, with blacktop on. So I just want to ask for your consideration and see if we could get this going, and hopefully I get another business in this town.
Well, your first opportunity to talk about the paving will be this evening when you meet with the Planning Commission, and that'll come back to us then later on. But I think most likely what you're able to work out with the Planning Commission is probably something that we'll be amenable to as well.
I do appreciate your time.
Well, thank you very much. I'll tell you what, you're certainly contributing significantly along 4th Street, and this now your third property on 4th Street. So thank you for that effort.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Jen, I wanted to ask, and I know it goes into our next item, but help me understand, we're looking at the comprehensive land use map and moving to commercial, and then when we come to zoning, we talk about the established neighborhood. Talk about that a little bit, please.
Okay, let me pull up the slide so you can see why we're recommending that. For the comprehensive land use plan map, we haven't really been as concerned about spot designations. But for the zoning, we are somewhat concerned about, you know, zoning individual properties. And so there is established neighborhood across the street. We think this is the perfect zoning for this because established neighborhood zoning has a mix. This area historically developed with a mix of uses. There, yeah, as you can see, you know, there's banquet halls next to an industrial building, next to a commercial building, next to residential. And so I think it's the right district for it. It is across the street. And as I mentioned, right now in that PI, you can't have a banquet hall. So that would have been an option for him to rezone to. We could have suggested commercial. We've tried to get away from just little pockets.
Because there's no commercial in the immediate area?
No, you can see a little bit of red there in the upper right-hand corner. That's the closest commercial property. And EN's a little more flexible too, because it does allow a wider variety of uses. Should you want to repurpose the building in the future to something that's not a banquet hall, you would have more options.
This is a great example of you and your department recognizing the uniqueness of this neighborhood and saying, how can we make this work? And you're certainly open to that, and I compliment you for your flexibility.
Thank you. We've really worked with Jerry. We met with him and his wife and kind of walked through all the options and try to make this happen for him under our current code.
Good.
Well, like I said, I did jump ahead. Excuse me. Any further discussion on item 7A, the changing of the comprehensive planned land use map?
I would move to accept and approve the recommendation of the Planning Commission to approve the request for an amendment to the comprehensive plan land use map appearing at section M-1-7-B of the 2017 to 2037 comprehensive plan for Hutchinson, Kansas, based on a finding of conformance to the factors required for approval, adoption of an ordinance for publication, and authorize the mayor to sign.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Call roll, please.
Dave Line?
Yes?
Iris De Carvalho?
Yes.
Soldner?
Yes.
Inskeep?
Yes.
Deckent?
Yes.
Item 7B, consider request to rezone property at 329 North Van Buren.
So this is the second part of the last item, and is rezoning from I-2 to EN, Established Neighborhood District. And I've kind of gone through all the slides and everything, so if there's not any other questions, I would just let you know that the Planning Commission did consider this about a month ago, and they recommended approval of the rezone. I'm just going to get the motion up here for you. Happy to answer any other questions you might have.
It was probably in the report, but there was there any communication from the neighbors or anything? Of course not.
We didn't hear from anyone, and no one came and spoke at the meeting, other than the applicant.
Right. Very good.
Is there a motion?
Okay, I will move to accept the recommendation of the Planning Commission to approve the request to rezone 329 North Van Buren from I-2 Industrial District to EN Established Neighborhood District based upon due consideration of the factors listed, adopt an ordinance for publication, and authorize the mayor to sign.
Second.
Been a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Call roll, please.
Dave Line?
Yes?
Iris De Carvalho?
Yes.
Soldner?
Yes.
Inskeep?
Yes.
Deckent?
Yes.
Item 7C, consider repeal of ordinance number 7591 regarding Jake breaks.
Paul Brown, City Attorney. Council, this is strictly cleanup. Strictly cleanup. We're getting rid of an obsolete ordinance. It's actually covered by state law now. It's called a compression release engine braking system. It regulates that, require mufflers. The Jake brake term is obsolete as well for this purpose. That's why we're repealing this ordinance. It has no use and is obsolete. Please approve it.
And who's going to go out and change all the signs?
We'll take them,
I know.
We'll take them down. They're coming down.
Okay.
I saw your hand go up. Does that mean you're personally getting?
Ryan, I was pointing.
Oh, you're pointing.
So to be clear, it's not that Jake braking will be allowed within, it's just
It's
the
just
state
this
law
Jake.
State law
supersedes.
supersedes.
Which is why you don't need the signs at the city limits, because it's statewide.
If you
Yeah.
just
And
read.
it's also covered by our standard traffic ordinance in section 175.1.
Right. If you just read the resolution, repeal of ordinance regarding Jake brakes, you might misinterpret that was going to allow that to happen. So I want to be clear, reiterate what Mr. Brown said. Jake braking will not be allowed within the city. It's just there's another ordinance that supersedes.
And it's not called that anymore.
Excuse me,
Yeah.
compression
See, I never knew what it was. to
release,
begin with.
such, yeah, very fine.
Compression release.
The non-allowed term is a lot easier to say, isn't
I
it?
think so.
Yeah.
With that being said, then, I would move to approve ordinance repealing ordinance number 7591 relating to an ordinance prohibiting the use of Jake brakes in the city of Hutchinson, Kansas, except in emergency situations, and authorize the mayor to sign.
I would second.
Been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Call roll, please.
Dave Line?
Yes.
Kyrus de Carvalho?
Yes.
Soldner?
Yes.
Inskeep?
Yes.
Deckent?
Yes.
Item 8A, consider special alcohol fund awards for 2019.
Morning, Merrill.
Good morning, Mayor and Council. I'm Merrill Dye, the Assistant City Manager. Try to get through this without hacking and coughing. I love trees, but they're causing seasonal allergies for me.
'Tis the season.
Yeah.
On the special alcohol, the city receives liquor by the drink tax funds, and a third of that has to go for programs that are involved with the purchase, establishment, maintenance, or expansion of services or programs whose principal purpose is alcoholism and drug abuse prevention and education, detoxification, intervention, or treatment of persons who are alcoholics or drug abusers or are in danger of becoming such. We have an in-house committee that includes Paul Brown, Kathy Nisley, our probation officer, and Linda Ojeda, our legal assistant, and myself. And we send out applications every year to local agencies, invite them to make requests for these funds. We interview them, and for those who are selected and go under contract, we then monitor their programs through an annual report every summer. We have this year the Big Brothers and Big Sisters who have been a part of our program for a number of years. They are primarily a prevention program with the goal of helping at-risk children between the ages of 5 and 17 to avoid drug and alcohol and other delinquencies, to improve their relationship with families and academics and so on. And this year, Big Brothers Big Sisters has requested for 2019 $10,000. Boys and Girls Club provides a alternative to youth crime, gang membership, drugs, alcohol, and other negative influences through its daily programs, serving about 1,000 youth from this area between the ages of 6 to 18. They have what's called a Smart Moves program that is an educational program on drugs and alcohol, and every single youth who attends their program goes through the Smart Move programs. This year, Boys and Girls Club has requested for 2019 $22,500. Communities That Care targets families and children between the ages of 3 to 18 in their mission to promote healthy young behaviors through mentoring, substance abuse prevention, strengthening family and youth leadership. They basically work through the schools. Excuse me. And for 2019, CTC has requested $22,500. The Reno County Drug Court provides intensive supervision under Judge McCarville's court to help prevent substance abuse and addicted offenders who would otherwise face prison. This is a program to keep them out of the prison system. Has been very successful. They serve, I think, around 30 clients right now. They have requested for 2019 $23,500. We had a new applicant this year, the Behavioral Health Unit from the Hutchinson Regional Medical Center. This unit is set up to deal with mental health patients, and they requested funds, no particular amount, but they requested funds to help patients get that connection to other outside support agencies through paying for assessments or transportation. The committee did not believe that the services that they described or the intended use of those funds would meet the statutory requirements under state law. So for that reason, we are not recommending an award for that group. We also are not recommending an award for our school resource officer, who has an important presence in the school, but focuses mainly on security and safety. And so, again, we for years have questioned whether those funds should even be going to SRO, but this year we're not recommending those funds. So on your last page of your cover memo, page 3 actually, it shows the fiscal impact. It describes the fiscal impact. We have estimated an ending balance at the end of this year of $18,747. And then a conservative estimate, which is around a 4-year average of funds, we expect to receive about $97,000 in the special alcohol revenue. The total expenses for all of these requests and what we are recommending comes to $78,500, which would leave an ending balance in 2019 of $37,247. That's a big chunk of money, which could be, further distributed to these agencies, or if we receive a one-time special request, we would have the budgeting authority if the council decided that they wanted to do that, or just use it as carryover from year to year. So with that, the staff is recommending the awards that are shown on your last page of your memo, page 4, to each of the agencies. $10,000 for Big Brothers Big Sisters, $22,500 each for Boys and Girls Club and Communities That Care, and $23,500 for Drug Court. Be happy to answer any questions. We do have representatives from each of these agencies here today if there's a question I can't answer, or if you just want to visit with them.
A couple comments, Meryl, if you don't mind. I appreciate the time and work that you and the committee put into this. But I got to admit, I was disappointed to see that the behavioral health unit wasn't going to be supported by these funds. And I didn't look up the statute, but what in the statute would prohibit putting some of those funds toward the 50% of those patients that have drug and alcohol issues for assessments, et cetera?
For assessments?
Or anything that they may need that has to do with drug and alcohol treatment.
Now, the behavioral unit would not conduct the assessments.
Yes.
They would just try to aid the patient in getting that assessment done by Horizons or SAC or whatever treatment agency, whether that's Prairie View, MIR, SAC, any of the other treatment programs that are out there. Specifically, the statute, I'm not sure if I cited it in the memo, but it's Chapter 79-41A04, liquor drink tax. And specifically, it states, I'm just paraphrasing from taking an excerpt from the statute. Monies in the Special Alcohol and Drug Programs Fund shall be expended only for the purchase, establishment, maintenance, or expansion of services or programs whose principal purpose is alcoholism and drug abuse prevention and education, alcohol and drug detoxification, intervention in alcohol and drug abuse or treatment of persons who are alcoholics or drug abusers or are in danger of becoming alcoholics or drug abusers. Now, with the exception of drug court, the agencies that we are recommending have some component of mentoring. And mentoring has been proven as a strategy in preventing delinquency, drug abuse, antisocial behaviors, issues in the families and academics. And so, we've put a lot of emphasis on mentoring. Now, Big Brothers Big Sisters, that's all they do. They match an adult, a caring adult, with children and youth. And they are very intensive in their search to find people and make that perfect match, because that person, that mentor, is going to be a part of that child's life until they're adult or beyond. CTC also provides some measure of mentoring, as well as Boys and Girls Club. So I guess we kind of put a premium on that.
Okay, and that's fine if that's where our direction is, if our focus is going to be on the prevention angle and the mentoring. But I think it's a stretch to say that Big Brothers Big Sisters' primary function is to keep kids off drugs. I mean, I think you could say the SRO is just as well intended for that, for mentoring, as they are for security, or at least I hope they function in that way. So, I mean, if that's the criteria the committee laid out, that's fine, but it seems like we're very heavy on the prevention and very light on the direct treatment, funds to go to direct treatment.
In the past, we have provided funds to Prairie View and to SAC. But they have not come back and requested those funds. 1 year, SAC just completely forgot, even though we sent them notice. They came back the next year, made application, they were granted the funds, but then they didn't take a drawdown from the funds that they were granted, or at least half of the funds that they were granted. So, we didn't even invite them this year. Yeah. And they are a treatment program, an outpatient treatment program. They do assessments.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I was surprised to see that. And the other comment I had is I would like to see us use those funds down. I would like to not see a balance for those funds. And I know we're estimating the amount that is coming in, but I don't know if mid-year how that can be reconciled.
Well, one of the things I would point out is that you see where the SRO was not recommended, and so that will be a direct impact on our general fund as we come up to the budgeting process. Exactly. And my recommendation would be that we leave those funds there until we make that final determination this summer, because I think I sent out a note to you that USD 308 is, I think, going to be requesting an additional SRO officer in the coming years, and therefore that would impact us, and so we might want to revisit that case. So that would be my thought.
I'm happy to hear that. Yeah, that's great. Thank you so much. Thank you, Merrill.
Merrill, the 97,000, I think it is, that's projected as revenue. Is that the entire amount of the liquor tax revenue, or is that the third?
That's just the 1/3 for special alcohol.
That's the 1/3.
Statute requires that the funds be divided between general fund, parks, and special alcohol.
Okay, so that 97 is the 1/3 portion for this use. Okay.
Yep.
And I kind of following Jade, your question and the response. Yeah, if we looked at funding the SRO, that would be, as in past years, or at least the last year, at 22,000, it would certainly make that holdover a lot smaller.
Yes, we've funded SRO as low as 7,000 before. It's just kind of been a fluctuating figure.
Yeah, it's ranged from 30 to 7 over the last 4 or 5 years.
Actually, the SRO kind of replaced the DARE program, and DARE was, actually a program where you had officers in the school that were teaching
classes,
programs on drug and alcohol abuse, and we continue to use. In fact, I think a significant portion, if not all, of our special alcohol funds went to support the DARE program for many years. When that program went away, and we still had school resource officers, we continue to use those funds until for SRO. and then started also funding outside agencies.
Further questions or discussion or a motion?
I would move to approve staff's recommendation on agency awards from the Special Alcohol Program Fund for fiscal year 2019.
I'll second.
Any further discussion on the motion? Call roll, please.
Dave Line?
Yes.
Pyrus de Carvalho?
Yes.
Soldner?
Yes.
Inskeep?
Yes.
Deckent?
Yes.
Item 8B, consider bid award for 2018 Main Street Reconstruction Project.
Good morning, Mayor and Council. Bruce Colley, Director of Engineering. On April the 10th, bids were received and opened for the 2018 Main Street Reconstruction project here in the city of Hutchinson. The limits of the project this year are from just south of 13th Avenue, and to give you a frame of reference, the north driveway of Elliott Mortuary, and then if you went to the east, it'd be the south end of I Need a Cleaners. So it'd be from that point north to between 17th Avenue and 18th Avenue, about 200 feet south of 18th Avenue. So that's the limits of the project. We've held one public hearing, and we're going to hold a second public hearing here in the coming weeks, and we do that at the library. We had a small turnout last time, and I think that now we have the bids that are in, and people are knowing that the project is commencing, that we'll have a better turnout. And so that's a tremendous opportunity. A total of 3 bids were received, and we had a low bid from Vots Parga Construction out of Newton. And they're a known construction company. They've been wanting to do work in the city of Hutchinson here for some time, as I understand it, and they have submitted bids in the past, but were high. And so we're pleased that they came back and were awarded a project. We were also pleased at the number. The engineer's estimate was, in round figures, 1.9 million, and theirs was roughly 1.6 million. So we're very, very excited about that. The concrete, I wanted to outline to you, we followed what we've done similar in the past, and that's why I included in the memo concrete and utility work. And utility work is merely going to be the storm sewers. We've got a few hydrant relocations because we've already done the water line with the Jack and Bore project with Nowak Construction previously. It's got a completion date of November the 16th of this year. All asphalt and surfacing work will be substantially completed by April 30th of 2019. So because the batch plant shut down in October, and of course there will be no work done during the state fair. The final payment for this project will be in May. We've set it as May 30th of 2019. So that's the schedule, and just so you know what I've instituted for the next phase, which will be coming up next year, phase 4, is to get the project out to bid earlier. We're targeting November, December of this year, so we don't have that lag time to roll over. And it just seems inappropriate to me to go ahead and extend that asphalt because the batch plants are going to shut down in October. Let's go ahead and get the contractor out there earlier and go ahead and bring that up within 1 year. The fiscal cost, fiscal portion of this project, as usual, will be financed through the general obligation bonds. And it is recommended that the City Council approve the bid and authorize the mayor to sign. contract with Watts Parga Construction LLC in the amount of $1,599,000, $599,981.73. And of course, subject to compliance with all legal requirements. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer those for you.
Bruce, this involves the 17th Street intersection. That's a
Right.
major element of this
Yes,
project,
sir.
is it not?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Okay. And I know we stopped short of 17th intentionally, was it last year or the year before, just to kind of, I guess, probably catch our breath and recognize that we're going to have a significant event
Yes.
going on there. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Not really.
Not really?
Yes, I'd be happy to.
Can't say blame you.
One of the options that we've discussed internally was to, and it's just a discussion at this point, I want you to bear that in mind, but to close that intersection, allowing the contractor to go ahead and complete the work. And we're still trying to work out traffic routes. I mean, you've got Crescent coming up, 17th is very, very busy.
Crescent's your problem.
I'm not wholly confident that that will work. I've talked to Mr. Deardoff about that, and he agrees with me. He's not really confident that that will work. Presently, right now, what we're doing in the traffic division is actually already working out there to prepare for the installation of lights. We're rerouting some of the conduits and such like that, so when the contractor gets there, but it will be a very, very busy and complex and confusing for the motoring public once they get in there. But what I can do is I can give you an update as we get a bit closer. We have not had a pre-construction meeting yet, and that will certainly be the topic of interest in the pre-construction meeting as to how Watts Parga intends to attack that critical portion of the project, and I think that would be appropriate after that to go ahead and bring that back to council and let everybody understand what we've discussed and come to a conclusion on.
Would that be completed yet, not necessarily the final paving on the surface, but the utilities work and whatnot underground, will that be completed yet this calendar year, or will that stretch into the next year?
That will be completed this calendar year and before the state fair.
Bruce, talk to me, and this might be premature, but I'd like to get it in your mind. Talk to me about the notification system to residents and businesses along that corridor, and also the updating system, and really for the community at large. So will you collect the emails of businesses along that route and give them weekly updates on construction, or how do you plan to keep people updated? Because this is going to not go over. This is going to be painful. It's
Absolutely.
necessary. It's going to be great when it's done, but it's going to be painful for not just those businesses, but for people traveling north or south. And I just want to make sure we're
It's not
up.
going to be any worse than 4th Street.
Well, but that was painful. You know, Plum
Yeah,
was
I
painful.
but-
I just think we could do a better job of informing the public of what we're doing. We're so busy doing the work that needs to be done. It's not really the city's strength, nor maybe should it be, but I think it could prevent a lot of upset people if we just keep them informed.
I applaud your thought process, and one of the things that we will implement based on your comment is to go ahead and provide the public annual update or weekly updates, or every 2 weeks vis-a-vis the typical newspaper information and things of that nature. One of the residents, and let me rephrase that, the commercial folks on the south end, there's a State Farm, I believe it's a State Farm, could be there's an insurance agent just south of Elliott.
Mm-hmm.
She's expressed a lot of concern to me. I've got her email address and her phone number. Those folks and the people that sign in, obviously that we pick up have got some concerns, we'll go ahead and make sure that we contact those folks as well. But I think the public media and an every 2-week update will go ahead and help soothe some of those souls.
Great. Bruce, you do such a good job of working with individuals who reach out and with concerns. I get a lot of positive comments on you, so thank you
very
for doing
much. Appreciate that.
I might just add that, we've got a pretty good history of, especially with our downtown projects over the years where, and even just the last one we completed, we had weekly meetings at the donut shop that Jim Sightnader kind of facilitated with the contractor, and it's a little easier there because it's all, businesses that are obviously impacted and are there for that. And this will be similar to that with those businesses at 13th Main. So I think we've really do a pretty good job with that, and maybe we can think about whether we have a weekly meeting or whether it's a weekly email, because sometimes it's just the schedule changes. It rains and we want to pour concrete tomorrow, so I need to call you and say, hey, we're going to be doing that tomorrow instead of what we told you. And so, you can communicate, but things change, and so I think we'll figure a way to make sure everybody knows about that. But 17th will be a challenge, but we've been through these projects up on North Main. It wasn't any more challenging than probably what this will be. So.
Right. And if you can keep the folks that update the city website, I know there's ways to put things on there, and then the city Facebook page.
Yeah,
I know so many people communicate through the social media so that it's easy for even Mr. Anderson back there to grab it off our Facebook page and post it to his and reach out to his audience, and others could do the same. Would help kind of keep, especially in an ever-changing environment, like you said, weather-related and others. So,
great idea.
Utilize the tools you got.
This may be a question to Angela, just a simple question in terms of the timing of when the bonds will be issued. Is that 2018, or would that be deferred until 2019?
I'm working on that, probably 2018. It depends on when a certain project happens.
Okay. Right, but probably 2018. Okay.
Yeah.
Related, do we have the funding to support the bond payments budgeted already? Either in this year's
we would have
budget.
dealt with that in 18. And
We dealt with that, and so we've got that money's there to begin servicing those bonds once they're established.
And that was based on the 1.9 figure, correct?
I don't remember exactly, but
Probably.
it could have been,
Yes. The engineer's estimate, I said.
Correct, yes, sir.
Okay, what's left then, once we finish this one? We're then looking from, about 7th to 13th?
Yes.
And will that be one chunk in itself, or will
That'll
that
be one chunk in itself, and that will be a very disruptive project, if you will, to commercial owners, to residents, et cetera. And of course, I would anticipate, probably shouldn't say this, but I anticipate that the estimate on that project to be in the area of $3 million.
Three.
Wow. Okay. Well, one good thing is this area has alleys, and so you'll have access via your alleys that you didn't have further north. So I find that somewhat compensating.
A very good point.
I think I recognize the contractor's name. I know you said they hadn't directly won a bid, but have they been utilized in a subcontractor capacity or something?
They've bid before.
They've bid, but they've not won. But have they been utilized through either APAC or Conejo or anybody as a sub?
Of course, I've only been here 2 years, but in talking to Jeff Peterson and others in the engineering department, I haven't talked to Brian yet, but they've got a very good reputation, and I don't know if they've been utilized as a subcontractor. I'd almost believe that they have been. Their primary work is really concrete work.
I see.
And so that they're a very large firm.
Good, wonderful.
Further questions or discussion or a motion?
I'll move to approve awarding the bid to Votes Parga Construction LLC in the amount of $1,599,981.73, subject to compliance with all legal requirements, and authorize the mayor to sign all necessary documents.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, been moved and seconded. Anything further? Call roll, please.
Dave Line?
Yes.
Tyros de Carvalho?
Yes.
Soldner?
Yes.
Inskeep?
Yes.
Deckent?
Yes.
Item 8C, consider agreement with the Kansas Department of Transportation for resurfacing project on K61 from Avenue G to Lorraine.
Bruce Colley again, Director of Engineering. This is for the C-CLIP program that's issued by the Kansas Department of Transportation. It used to be called the CLINK project, and they've come up with a new acronym of C-CLIP. I'm sure you've got a burning desire to really understand what C-CLIP means, which means City Connecting Link Improvement Project. So it really a mind bender there. But what it does, it means that we've got city connecting links to a KDOT maintained right away. On February the 2nd, 2017, the engineering department requested funding assistance from KDOT to mill and resurface K61 from Avenue G north to Lorraine. And I've included a map in your packet. And the funding was approved by KDOT, which is the agreement that you have here in front of you. The program is an 85% match by KDOT up to a maximum of $300,000 per fiscal year. So the project was approved in the 2018 CIP in the amount of $600,000, and the engineer's estimate was, and even in our application, was a tad less than that. We were actually at I guess about 360,000 or 560,000, I'm sorry. But due to the unknowns and the things that come up, that's why we had it at $600,000. But the cost of the project will be financed, of course, by the $300,000 grant from KDOT. And then we've got $150,000 from reserves, and then $150,000 from the quarter-cent sales tax to cover the cost of the $600,000. And it is recommended that council authorize the mayor and the clerk to sign, and I've attached 2 copies of this agreement. I mail those to Topeka. The Secretary of Transportation, she executes those and we get them back, and so that's why there's 2 copies.
Did you say in your memo when the construction start date would be?
I did not tell you something that's similar to this project, is almost identical actually, was K61 and 4th Avenue.
And 4th?
Yeah, so I anticipate construction by the time KDOT gets this back. We're in the process right now of preparing plans. We will let this project ourselves, and I would guess that we're going to be in the July, August time frame.
For construction start date?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yes,
Okay.
How long of a project will this be?
I would anticipate that it'll be a 2-month project.
Okay.
Okay.
Pretty good stretch of road in the 4 lanes. And
This, the previous acronym CLINK, am I
Yes.
correct? That allowed carrying over of monies from year to year, did it not? And then accumulation of funding,
yes, sure, you are correct.
so that at least then we would have been able to actually have 85% of the project. Is it at all feasible to think about breaking projects like this into smaller pieces so we can get closer to the 85%? For example, if we'd have cut this into 2, we obviously 300,000 would have been able to cover all of it, but I mean we could have utilized it to cover a full 85%.
Absolutely.
So is it feasible to think about, this is about a mile, I think,
Yes.
to think about breaking things like that down so that we can cover more of it with the grant money?
Very feasible and I think wise too, from a fiscal standpoint. and we'll certainly do that on upcoming projects. And your understanding of the clink versus the C-clip is obviously very good, because we were able to bank those funds, and not only were we banking them, but other communities were banking them too. And so KDOT was carrying this pot of money and allowing us to do this. The C-clip, what they're also considering to do is just offering this every other year, so it could be a 2-year program. But
Okay.
I do applaud your idea, and we'll certainly implement that in engineering.
Well, taking that a step further, is it possible we could even consider splitting this one into parts?
It's likely too late
At this point?
Yes, because it's already programmed in Topeka.
By splitting that, does that necessarily impact the competitive bids
I'm sure it would.
of,
Yeah, because
as opposed to a larger project?
Yeah, because they're doing a smaller.
Yes,
Probably gonna be
it
We've
would.
talked about that
It would, and
in some cases,
and,
so it's hard to say.
That's one of the hard parts about the C-CLIP program, is that here we are, we're late into the year, and everybody's really, the contractors that is, have pretty well got their year programmed already.
Yeah.
You know, but yes, it would, and it does impact when you lower that.
Appreciably, or you just never know, huh?
I don't
until
think
it's
it's appreciably, but
Okay,
you know,
but-
10–15%
Yeah.
can be quite a bit, actually.
Yeah.
Okay. Bruce, you mentioned K61 and 4th, so I'm going to jump to
Yes.
that for a bit.
Absolutely.
And really, I think the only part left yet is the traffic lighting.
That's correct.
And I understand there's struggles up north and finishing a project, but I'm still interested in when.
We actually, yesterday, they finished directional drilling and pushing all the conduit.
For 61
For 4th and K61. Today, they're pulling the wires through there, and it's my understanding in talking to the traffic division that by this Friday, we'll be complete with 4th and K61, with the pedestrian signals, the left turns, et cetera. And that's slowed a little bit on that same topic. You may have noticed that the intersection of 17th, or Plum and 17th, has now got wires strung up over the top, and you might have seen some wires that are sticking out that kind of bother me out of the old concrete pedestal. But we've relocated the traffic controller. That's part of the safe routes to school. And then they're finishing that up next after 4th and K61. Then from there, they're going to go to 17th and Main and get that traffic out of the way, so when the contractor comes through, we won't be the holdup.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Anything further, or is there a motion?
I will move to approve the agreement with the Kansas Department of Transportation for the C-clip resurfacing project on K61 from Avenue G north to North to Lorraine, and authorize the mayor to sign all necessary documents.
Second?
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Call roll, please.
Dave Line?
Yes.
Pyros de Carvalho?
Yes.
Soldner?
Yes.
Inskeep?
Yes.
Deckent?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bruce.
Thank you, Bruce.
Next item.
Item 9, report of city officials.
Nancy?
Just to echo what Bruce was saying, I noticed that the sidewalk is being poured for the safe routes to schools along 17th. They've been working on that all week. Took quite a while. Yes.
John?
No, I have nothing this morning.
David?
I'm good, thank you.
Jade?
I just wanted to do a quick plug for Third Thursday. This Thursday, it looks like the weather might actually cooperate. It is the week of the young child, so if you have children age 0 to 5, there are lots of activities downtown, including Touch a Truck at the fire station, and Community Foundation is giving out some grants as well at Avenue A Park. So think that's usually around 5 to 8, 5 to 9 in the downtown area on this Thursday. So I hope you can make it. That's all I have.
Well, following that plug, I'll connect with it. Thursday's the opening day for Pollyanna by the Family Community Theater. And then, of course, they'll also show on Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday afternoon matinee. So you can take advantage of events at Thursday and cap off the evening if you so desire. John?
Yes, a couple things. Sent out a note, and you probably read in the paper about the Petco grant for the animal shelter, and just wanted to make sure we understand that. Actually, the first half of that, we get $25,000 that will be have to be used by next March, and then from March of 19 to 20 will be the other $25,000, and that money is going to be primarily used for medical cases, exam for animals, care before they go out for adoption. Also will reduce adoption fees at various events that they have throughout the year. So it's a nice grant, and just wanted to clarify kind of how that would be used.
Have we received that before, or is this the first time?
You know, I think, I mean, I know we've had several smaller. I don't know the answer to that, to be honest with you. So
who applied for it?
The shelter. Yeah.
Of course. Yeah. Very good. Good for them.
Okay. And then also sent out some information on some street work that's going to be done on the perimeter of the city, and that, just so people understand, that's actually the county doing those overlays, and those are really on those streets you all remember, multi-jurisdictional streets, that part of the agreement for us to annex those in, they would mill and overlay those before we take over future responsibilities. So you have the list of all those, and they'll be going on. So if people have questions about that, they can contact me, but we're going to refer them probably to the county, because they'll be the ones controlling when that work gets done. And they've already been out and did some prep work. You can see where they've shaved back the edges a little bit to make room for the mill and overlay. So any questions on that, anybody? And then finally, mentioned earlier, but tonight the Planning Commission is going to, in the study session, take a first look at some revisions to our landscape and paving requirements. Planning staff has done a good job, I think, in really laying out some potential changes that I think people will find attractive. And the plan is to go through the Planning Commission, and then we'll have some input sessions from different stakeholder groups, and ultimately the Planning Commission approves and then comes back to the City Council for approval. And I think we're scheduled to maybe have some of those changes to you early June, maybe. Yeah, so I think it's important that we move quickly on some of these areas and not, wait around, because again, as I think I've communicated, we've got projects in the hopper that would be affected by some of these changes. So, and that is all I have. Thank you.
John, did you say you wanted to set a study session for us in May?
Oh, yes. Yeah. The mayor was going to bring that up, but no, I forgot.
Well, I didn't forget. I was thinking you were going to, and I was, but anyway, yeah, we need to set a date.
And we, now help me out the date that I suggested for you guys. Was it May?
Well, I don't know that you did suggest a date.
I don't think you did.
Just early May.
Yeah. Okay, yes, and that was, I think Councilman Soldner and the mayor have talked about a retreat of some sort.
Yes.
That's,
yes.
The retreat may not be the right word, but the idea is to sit down and just have some open conversations as we head into budget year. That I think I've told you, and I can reassure you that that's going to be a difficult task for us this year, knowing what we did last year, spending down fund balance and not having that cushion this year. So we might get prepared for that. So.
Okay.
I thought I put some dates in there as potential.
Are you thinking like a Tuesday or Thursday morning? Or?
Yeah.
So what, the first council meeting is the 1st of May?
We could do it like the 8th.
How about
the 8th?
Yeah, how about the 8th?
Yeah.
That would work.
What do you think, 7 a.m., Nancy?
Yeah, I think 6.
Yeah, right.
Let's do a bicycle ride first, David. You lead us in that charge?
Then a little yoga.
There you go.
We'll get
there
going.
you go.
All right. What time, 8:30?
8:30 on the 8th?
Let's go. I'll just double checking something real quick here.
That's on a Tuesday. Huh?
Yeah, that's
Are we
off.
looking at 2 hours, 3 hours?
Well, Mayor and I talked whether we were doing early morning, or I think I suggested maybe a
That's
10
right, we
to
talked
2.
about, that's right. How about a
Have a lunch,
10 to
but
2
that's up
and
to
a
you
working
guys.
lunch?
Yeah. If you want to do in the morning, we can, I mean, that's really your call.
Yeah.
Up to you guys.
Makes no difference to
That
me.
day's open for me.
How about a 10 to 2 with a working lunch?
Oh, we never get lunch.
No.
I know.
Is that in
We
the
might.
Bonus.
Or you
10 to
can,
2.
or you can pack your bag and bring it for lunch.
Bring a bag.
Not going to
Bring,
have a
bring
vegan
the,
option.
bring the lunch bucket?
I'm talking here, back here.
Yeah.
Council, okay.
10 to 2 on May 8th.
May the 8th, 10 to 2.
That looks good.
And I think the idea was, obviously I'll have just a preliminary look at, Angela and I have been working on kind of what our budget might look like in 19 using last year's expense levels and last year's revenue. And what I looked at wasn't real pretty, but they never start out very good. But also having each of you begin to think about, some of the things that you want to focus on. It doesn't have to just be on budget issues, but programming, other types of things. So might just be thinking about that. So
Yeah, I mean,
I think we talked about you sending out an email, kind of to,
yeah,
not so much
I'll
jog your
send some
memory as-
stuff out. Yeah. So
yeah, I mean, I think revisiting the goals and the priorities that we set a couple of years ago and looking at those and the relationship to the budget and how we want to go from there.
So I'll send something out. So right now on the 8th from 10 to 2 then.
Great.
Sounds good.
Sounds good.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you for reminding me about that. Yes.
Okay.
That's all I have, Mayor.
I
I
move
think
we
we need a
adjourn.
motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second?
Second.
All right. Call roll, please.
Dave Line?
Yes?
Pyrus de Carvalho?
Yes.
Soldner?
Yes.
Inskeep?
Yes.
Decken?
Yes. 10:16, Mr. Manager.